Hey, welcome back to Driver 88. If you've watched our channel before or you know me, you know that I'm a fan of big engine, big boy Benzes for cruising, just like these SLs. Now, not long ago, Mercedes stopped making beautiful, pillarless, large Grand Tourer coupes. So, a car that I've never driven before, the S63 Coupe, we have one that's about a decade old. We're going to try it out and see where the value is and how well they keep up for today's performance and technology. Let's find one. So, the S63 Coupe. I think this is a rather beautiful looking understated AMG. It reminds me of the 500 SEC, which is one of my favorite classic AMGs. The pillarless design, the relatively smooth looks, but also a bit muscular. This 2+2 hardtop situation is not available anymore from AMG. It's been superseded by the SL63, which has a very different silhouette than this one. This superseded the CL class, which I wasn't as big of a fan of the CL as this. A lot of people don't usually buy this sort of car, and that's to me what makes them a little bit special. We've seen now the 500 SEC go up and up in price, as well as a number of other V8 AMGs from the 80s. In good time, I think people will appreciate these aesthetically more and more. Now, you can't have a AMG Grand Tourer without a venerable, sonorous 5.5 litre twin turbo V8. This is the M157 in a whole range of AMGs of the period. They have a huge tuning potential if that is what you're after. The main stat that I think of with these engines is the 900 Newton meters available from just over 2000 RPM. Now, this is a rear-wheel drive version. They did also come in a 4MATIC. Being rear-wheel drive, you want good conditions to get off the line. In good conditions, you'll get maybe about a 3.9 second 0 to 100, top speed of 300, quarter mile in maybe around 12.1 on a good surface. Straight line speed is more about the rolling performance with these cars, and of course, the enormous amount of comfort. Now, being rear-wheel drive, we have two 8.5s on the rear, but you can turn them relatively easily if they're not warm. Two 5.5s up front. This car is 2 tons, so it's relatively heavy, and it's full of luxurious items, and that is a big part, of course, of the weight. Now, it is no just slouch, however. On the Top Gear test track back in the day, it did manage to get about the same time as an Ariel Atom 2 and a Koenigsegg CC8S. So it's definitely no slouch around corners as well.
M157 is pretty much a reliable engine. So if you do look after it, it's always subject to looking after a service every, I guess, 5 to 7,000 K. And if you do so, it's not gonna let you down. So the common issues on these ones is a bit of oil leaks. And then again, if you do change oil regularly, so you can prevent the oil leaks as well. And there's a PCV valve common failure. They leak on the back of the cylinder on the driver's side, and they do have oil leaks in the engine valleys. It'll usually leak from the oil filter housing, and some cam plugs leaks as well. They leak internal and feed the oil through the ECU and stuff. So you can actually, if you can prevent all this if you changing the oil regularly. It don't lose its viscosity, and you may not have gasket issues. Usually, the rubber becomes brittle. The gasket goes by the age, and you can prevent by regular servicing. And they do have a coolant leak issues, not very often, but the common is the water pump leaks, and some coolant hoses, very common like any other car. Because of the plastic, it becomes brittle by the age and then just start leaking. That's another thing, but other than that, it's pretty much solid engine. So thanks guys, stay tuned.
Being a big Benz, you also will know that these will depreciate fairly quickly. Back in 2015, guess what the sticker price was? 409,000 Australian dollars before taxes and before options. This one has an AMG styling pack on top, so God knows what the sticker price originally was. Now I think this is asking about $115,000 before taxes. So they're about 70% plus off the sticker price for what is still a really impressive looking and performing car. Another thing that AMG got right is these wheels don't look too ginormous like you see on a lot of modern AMGs and modern Bentleys, for example. 20 inches and they fit just right. It seems like the wheels now are just getting bigger, 21s, 22s, and they just look completely out of place. Side profile of this is just lovely on these twin spoke AMG wheels. Stepping inside, it's no wonder that this was a near $500,000 or Australian dollar car when it was new. Leather is expansive, timber is expansive, and what I like about the interior of this car is, unlike a lot of modern cars, there's no piano black to scratch and look terrible so quickly. We've got a dual panoramic screen. In 2014-13 when this arrived, this was 10 years ahead of everybody else. AMG had the right idea with this interior design layout. Everyone today has these dual screens now, no matter what brand of car they are, and I think they had it right then. Unfortunately, years later, now AMG, Audi, etc., they think, let's put a screen here, and a screen here, and a screen there. This is enough. This is as far as we needed to go, and it's just right. Your eyes are on the screen and then straight on the road. All right, let's turn this chunky V8 over and take it for a drive. Okay. It's a beautiful day to take a luxurious S63 for a cruise, and naturally it does cruising incredibly well. NVH is very impressive because you can hear me so clearly. Also, we have got great visibility, airmatic suspension, goes over the bumps, or glides over the bumps rather, and this car of course has two sides to its personality. Even just in sports mode, being rear-wheel drive with 900 Newton meters, you can spin them out your driveway very, very easily. And this car, honestly, at 200 kilometers per hour, it's whisper quiet. You know, you've got all of that 900 Newton meters at 2,250 RPM. And I've driven a whole bunch of different cars with this 7G gearbox. This particular one feels more responsive than some of the others I've driven. The leather in here is expansive. These are the thickest pillared seats I've driven for a very, very long time. I'm basically in a Bordeaux red leather couch, and it's 33 degrees today and we're perfectly comfortable even with the sunroof, which is providing some more ambience for ourselves or potentially the small rear passengers. Now, combined fuel consumption is quoted at 10.2 litres per 100 kilometres. I would forget about that because you're probably not going to get anywhere near it, especially if you want to enjoy some of the performance on offer now and again. The turning circle is fairly decent for a rather large car, and just the responsiveness and just that low-end growl, it's really delicious, just smooth V8 performance. What I really like about these AMGs and this M157 is that it sounds really nice. It sounds like a genuine V8 and it doesn't have all those fake pop and bang noises. It's just all throaty, sonorous V8 noise. That just suits the character of this car, the S63 Coupe. I just like the way it picks up and goes. And I'm not even in the sportiest mode. If I do that, gearbox drops down relatively quickly. It does feel of its vintage of about 10 years ago, but probably on the better end of 10 years ago. The torque is just endless. I could see this running to its top speed of 300 kilometers per hour quite easily on the Autobahn. Now, with this vintage of AMG, we don't have touchscreens, which I know a lot of people are used to these days, but it hasn't taken me long at all to get used to all the navigation of the buttons, find out where our different modes for suspension, navigation, seats, media, etc. is. And the buttons on the steering wheel are quite clear. So it has only taken me a few minutes really to get used to everything without having to touch the screen, which physical buttons, when you think about it, are less distracting. You can spend more time looking upwards at your screens and then on the road than trying to touch something with your finger whilst you're moved around from the driving inertia. So the S63 Coupe, or Coupe, whatever you wish, Now discontinued, I think that this shape has aged incredibly well, and the interior has aged quite well also from a tech and design standpoint. This is just a lovely thing to take on a summer's drive near the beach, as it should be. And it's sad that this sort of style of AMG is now entirely finished, and this pillarless sort of Grand Tourer coupe is not something on the AMG lineup anymore. This car is available with our friends at Lorbeck Luxury Cars, and I always fall for older AMGs now just really, really quickly because of their dual nature, that lovely V8 sound, and just the elegance at which it wafts down the road. So this is Driver 88, and we'll see you next time.